Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I have been doing Outlast gameplay and also Outlast commentary on the different enemies within the Outlast trials. Previously I did Franco, I still got a few more to go, so we have the regular grunts, we got Coil, and also the Skinnerman and also the Pusher. I decided to take the Pusher and the Skinnerman and make them into one video because the Skinnerman does not appear unless you have the Pusher present. So today we are going to dive into their physical appearance, the little bit of information that we do have available for us regarding their background story, their personality within the trials, and just some random trivia at the end. So if this content interests you, stick around as we're going to dive into the Pusher and the Skinnerman of the Outlast trials.
I shall deliver your punishment.
You should have turned down this bounty, Talos.
Open your fucking eyes already!
Now we're going to start with the physical appearance of the Pusher. So he does wear a gas mask, brown overalls, and white underwear. On the top of his head and on the back of his legs, he has visible tumors. And when he walks, he has a limp, requiring 2 leg braces to be pierced through his lower legs. His weapon of choice is a pressure sprayer, which on his back he has a gas tank. And with that sprayer, he sprays in your face a bright green cloud, which makes you hallucinate and go into psychosis. Now, when you go into psychosis, you see Skinnerman, which I thought he was inspired by Slender Man, but I guess not, because when I looked into it, I didn't see any inspiration from Slenderman. However, with Skinnerman, he is tall, grayscale humanoid, he has a black suit, and he also has Dr. Easterman's appearance. Whenever he is close to you, you can see that his head vanishes to reveal a skull with glowing red eyes. Sometimes you will notice that he doesn't have a neck.
I'm your doctor and your lawyer and your priest, baby. Screw you 3 different ways.
When it comes to the Pusher's background story, there's not much provided within the game to give us a full background. Within the documentation XPOP classification, it is said that they are former Murkoff researchers that work at the facility, and apparently they was accidentally exposed to the gases that the facility used on their test subjects, which caused those staff members to have a chemical induced psychosis. Now, on April 11, 1960, during the Project Countdown, the Pusher was found unconscious without his gas mask. So I did find 2 documentations within the game that talks about it. So we got Maskless and also Lab Rat. And Maskless, what we learn is that there was 4 reagents that entered the Project Countdown trial, and only 3 of them left to go to the evaluation corridor. And when the cleanup crew came in, they found the Pusher unconscious and without his gas mask. So when it came to the interrogation and when they asked him where was the 4th reagent, he just kept saying irrelevant information and ended up saying something along the lines of like a snake's skeleton was made from the bones of a human hand. Now, in the documentation, Lab Rat, which kind of goes into a little bit more detail about it, but apparently reagent 0741 has been identified and he has been separated for interrogation. And at first I thought it was Amelia. However, Amelia's reagent number is 2427, so it's not the same person. Future Mello here in the editing studio, so I just had to basically pull a Gale Weathers and be a investigative journalist for a second because I wanted to see if I can find any additional information about this reagent. I did. So reagent 0741, apparently he was one of Amelia's teammates and he was pulled into questioning regarding her disappearance because he was the one that had initiated the trial and he was the only reagent known to have been on her team, which the other reagents, I believe I said they called about 3 different reagents, and I'm assuming that those 3 other reagents told the facility staff that he was on their team, so then they just pulled him into questioning. But at that point, everything's been erased, and during his questioning with himself and his other 2 teammates, they was subject to torture, but they still didn't budge at all. And reagent 0741 was the only one to divulge her name to Dr. Easterman. I can do a video on Amelia because this video is focusing on the Pusher and the Skinnerman, so in the future I can make a video about her. It's been a while since I've read into her lore, so all of this still does tie in with her escaping. That's all the information of the background story that we have with the Pusher. Now, when it comes to the Skinnerman, unfortunately, there's just not much of a backstory for this antagonist within the game. He only appears whenever you are going through psychosis, whether you accidentally walk through too many traps within the trials, or if the Pusher get a hold of you and put that green cloud gas on you. However, anything about the Skinnerman's origin story is not there. There's no story on where he came from, how he was created, and why does he resemble Dr. Easterman. There's nothing on here. I tried to look it up online on the official Outlast Wikipedia pages, also any other sources online that is out there that is trying to find out who this man is, but unfortunately there is no origin story for me to provide for this antagonist within the Outlast trials. This portion of the video took me a minute to record because I want to make sure I'm explaining my theory the best way that I can. So we all know the Skinnerman is not real. He is a result of the drug psychosis. Within the documentation, Skinnerman's research, we learn that A, Dr. Easterman believes is a nightmare or a subconscious projection of the guards or the nurses. And B, he is offended that they claim the Skinnerman resembles him. He believes he is a father figure to his patients and that they love him as much as he respects them. With all of that being said, my theory is that the Skinnerman is what they all fear, which they all fear Dr. Easterman for putting them through these trials and going through the physical, mental, and emotional trauma. However, reagents who enjoy going through these trials and proving themselves to Dr. Easterman, I believe them seeing the Skinnerman is a reflection of him being disappointed in them and recognizing them as a failure because they was exposed to the drug that made them go through psychosis.
Take your medicine!
The Pusher's personality within the Outlast trials, I have to admit, his personality is one of my favorites. They describe him to be delusional, a maniac.
It's an illusion!
He pretends to be a doctor or an exterminator.
Hello? Here to pray for the roaches.
He makes lines like, "This is what they pay me for." Of course, it's safe, it's Murkoff brand.
Still on the job. Good money all around. With the right medicine, you can live forever. It's Murkoff brand. Of course it's safe.
He basically is saying the drugs and the medicine that he has is going to cure them, and basically the state of intoxication is a form of freedom for the reagents.
With the right medicine, you can live forever.
And he always telling them to be cool or slow down, I'm just trying to help. He truly believes that he is trying to help you. Now, I will admit the Pusher was one of my least favorite antagonists within the game. Every time that gate went off and he appeared, it used to get on my nerves the most. I don't know why, but I came to appreciate the Pusher at this point, especially being introduced to not only Jaeger, but also the Pitcher, because I feel like anyone else can agree with me. I feel like I see the Pitcher more in the trials than I see the Pusher, and the Pitcher is like Jaeger. He sticks around for a little bit before he officially leaves, compared to Jaeger. I know the onboarding is over with and you don't have the permanent trials anymore with the Jaeger in it, but with the trials now, when the gate alarm goes off, I'm hoping that it's the Pusher and not the Pitcher or Jaeger, to where I'm like, I much rather have the Pusher present, because at least with the Pusher, if I go through psychosis, if I can't find an antidote, I'll make it everything in my power to outlast the psychosis. Now, unlike other X-Pops, he cannot harm you with physical attacks. The only thing he can do is grab you and spray you with the gas, to where you will see the Skinnerman, because now you're under psychosis. The only time that he can kill you is if you're on the verge of dying already. He will take the sprayer, put it in your mouth, and basically spray the gas into your throat until you suffocate and die. A few things I didn't know. So the Pitcher and the Pusher does not appear in the trial at the same time. If you are delaying the Pusher to get back to the gate, the Pusher will be sent out a few more times before the Pitcher comes through the trial. The Pusher's personality, I view him as being very, very goofy with a lot of his commentary within the trials. Compared to the Skinnerman, he's silent. He does not speak to you. Whenever you're not in full psychosis, he just runs towards you. Sometimes you are doing something and he will appear right next to you and don't make a move until you look at him. However, when you are fully in psychosis, it's a completely different situation. He's just like Jaeger. He knows where you are at all times. He can go through doors, so there is no need to close the door hoping that he's not going to bust the door open. He'll just walk through it. And as I mentioned before, the other enemies within the trials do not attack you when you're going through psychosis. So the entire time you're either looking for an antidote to get yourself out of it, or hopefully you are able to outlast the psychosis.
It's all in your head.
Now I'm going to dive into some random trivia about the two antagonists, starting off with the Skinnerman. So the hallucinating effects and how they combined it with the Skinnerman was actually approved during program Geister. And I touched base about this earlier, I believe, but apparently several people are aware of the Skinnerman's existence. So one of the male grunts, I don't know which one, a sleep room observer knows about him, the Pushers obviously know about him, the company board, and a man named Private Ramus. The Skinnerman is the second antagonist to appear as a torturous thought form. The first antagonist within the Outlast universe was actually Father Laddermilch, which he had a demonic version of himself. So on the topic of Outlast 2, the Skinnerman's tentacles hallucinations when you're being transported to the trials, apparently it resembles the Skinned Man shrine from Outlast 2. I never noticed that similarity, so now I have to go back and actually pay more attention to my surroundings when I'm being transported to the trials, because that's something that I never actually focused on. Now some random trivia about the Pusher. So the Pusher, based off of the name, is just the term for drug dealers who push people to take drugs for their own profit. So that makes a lot of sense that his name is the Pusher, because he's really trying to force this gas on you and make you hallucinate because he believes this will help you throughout the trial. His first name is Frank. It's been revealed in some of his dialogue. He states his name being Frank. I've never came across that dialogue within the game before, but that also goes for the big grunt with the brown hair. His first name is Danny. I never came across that dialogue before, so I'll keep my ears open to hearing that dialogue in the future. Apparently in the unused dialogues, one of the female scientists states that he has a wife and his last name is DeThomas. And I know I touched on Outlast 2 earlier, so I'm going to touch on Outlast Whistleblower. So Frank the Pusher and Frank and Outlast Whistleblower, they share the first name obviously, but within some documentation in Outlast Whistleblower, apparently Frank also was engaging in recreational drug usage. And that is all that I wrote for today's video. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching my video. If you enjoyed my content, give me a huge thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, comment down below your favorite antagonist within the Outlast universe, your favorite trial. They recently just announced that we are now doing primetime again, and there are 2 MK Ultra trials that they have released within the Outlast universe. So I will be posting my experience going through those trials solo, of course. And again, if you are actively playing the Outlast trials, good luck on your therapy, and I'll see you next time.
This is a little extra.